variance. And we're going to use the 1var stats function in our graphing calculator to help us do that. So the problem says that the number of cars of various colors in a parking lot with 5 levels is summarized by the table below. And they tell us to assume that this table represents the entire population of cars at this dealer. So we use the table to answer the question. Okay, so here's our table. Each level represents a level in this dealer's parking garage. And then it tells us how many cars of each color are on that level. So it says here, if we take a sample, that's a key word, highlight it, because we're going to use sample and not population when we're doing the variance. So it says if we take a sample of the levels by rolling a die and end up with levels 1, 3, and 5 in our sample, so levels 1, 3, and 5, what is the variance of the white cars in the sample? So we're zeroing in on white cars. So looking at white cars in our sample, that means level 1 is 14, level 3 is 12, and level 5 is 7. So those are the values that we're going to use to find the variance of. So we come over to our calculator, turn it on, and then we press stat, and we need to go 1var or to the list first. I come to list and I already have data in it, so I want to clear it. So I arrow up to highlight L1 and I press clear and then enter, and now I enter my data: 14, 12, and 7. Now I'm ready to find my variance. So I press stat, I arrow over to calc, and I choose 1var stats. That's number 1. I tell it I want to find, or that my data is in L1, so I press second and 1 for L1, hit enter. I don't have a frequency list, so I skip that one, and I go down to calculate and press enter. Now it's going to give me, since I'm dealing with sample, my sample standard deviation. That's S sub x, or S sub x. And so my sample standard deviation is 3.605, and if I round it to the 4th decimal place, it would be 6. So that's my sample standard deviation. But they asked for variance. So I could go and retype this number in and then square it, or I can press vars and choose number 5, statistics, and since I want sample variance, I'm going to choose number 3, and then I'm going to square it and press enter. And so the square of this, oops, is approximately 13. So my sample variance is approximately 13 cars squared, and that's the units on it. Since I was talking about cars on my variance, it's cars squared. Doesn't make much sense. That's why we usually talk about standard deviation. But there's how you find your variance from a data set. Until next time.